Good afternoon, everybody. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I am Diggity Boo. I'm coming to you on the blustery showery day, part 2. So, as a continuation of the video you saw the other day, it is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a funny day though with the weather. It is really blustery, so I think we're going to have issues with sound again, but never mind, we'll carry on. The main thing is these showers, they're passing through really quickly, and they're not soaking at all, not by any means. So in terms of for the garden, it's not soaking us, or even me that much for that matter. But it may mean that I have to quickly dash you guys back into the shed because I don't want to get you wet, do I? So yes, like I say, there's still a good couple of hours of time to work this afternoon. So my focus this afternoon, let's see how far I get, is the bed 1 over from my, forgetting where everything is now, flint corn and paprika peppers. So this afternoon I'm going to be planting my celery, you'll see what I mean when I show it to you, and some fennel seed. Now with the fennel seed, in the past I've done a sowing in May, a sowing in June and a sowing in July. This year I don't know what happened. So because we are the middle of June, I think it's about the 14th of June at the minute, because we're right bang in the middle of June, I'm just going to sow the lot. And then also that means that, you know, within sort of 3 or 4 weeks or so, I'll have a good idea of what's not germinating. So where I've got gaps as we go into the middle of July, I'll just sow some more lettuce, or, you know, don't know. I'll make my mind up when that time comes. So, I'm so lost in the garden today. I'm having one of those days. Sorry, I've just completely drifted off then, didn't I? But, yeah, there's something so... It's a really, really special time of year, I think, for all of us, because we are getting to that stage where the vast majority of our planting is done, the vast majority of our seed sowing is done, and it's finally beginning to feel like, we can kind of backpedal a little bit. We can take our feet off the pedals completely. Well, not quite completely, but it definitely feels, at least I feel this, that I can just kind of calm the pace down a little bit. Days like today where, you know, the weather is a bit bonkers and unpredictable. Well, you know what, so what? If I end up coming and sitting in the shed for half an hour, curled up against that back wall with a load of cushions, just staring out of the window at the green, smelling the air, the quality of the smell of the air when the sort of showers are coming through is so beautiful. Not to mention the petrichor, the smell of warm soil being dampened. Yeah, it's, for me, I'm really feeling that I'm now just coming into the magic time. Oh, I love it so much. And in a few days, it's not much more than a week away, it will be the summer solstice, which is one of my favourite days in the year. So I think it's quite right that we all start to a little with our gardens, if we can. There is work to do, so let's go and do the work, but we'll do it in a frame of mind. Come on. Poor rosebush has taken a battering in the last couple of days. It's like there's been a wedding in the garden. Oh, never mind. Oh, it's getting dark again. Let's crack on. So, this is where I'm going to put my fennel, but just to say before I do, this bed, just like the garlic and the broad beans, here comes the rain again. Oh, I think I'm going to have to dash you back inside. Hang on. Fennel bed, take 2. This is definitely a day for being patient. Now, what I was about to say about this bed was that, like the garlic bed and the broad bean bed, it's another bed that's already been working hard for 12 months now. So this time last year it had in it the new potatoes. As soon as they came out, the purple sprouting broccoli went in. Now the purple sprouting broccoli did come out about 6 weeks ago. The ground was like concrete, it was horrid, it was just like the garlic bed, despite lots of amendments. So there was no sign of any rain on the horizon. So in the end I resorted to, one evening I came down late and I soaked the bed, absolutely soaked it. Next morning came back, and as that had gone in, that was enough for me to work this bed back into a workable state. And hopefully it'll pick up on the camera and see. It's not bad actually, it's pretty good. So I think, I'm not sure whether it's a fine enough tilth to sow directly into with the fennel seed, but I had this last bag of seed sowing compost left. So I thought, well, I might as well put some of it in the bottom of the drills and give the fennel a semi-decent start, hopefully. But it's bone dry, so as soon as I've got it in these little drills, whatever you want to call them, I'll give it a really good soak, which seems crazy for the amount of water we've had. There is moisture down there, but like with any seeds, there's no point in me sowing them into this bone dry compost, covering them over with more bone dry compost, and then I'm not sure when we're next due our any more sort of proper rain. I call it proper rain when it actually does something to the soil rather than just makes our clothes a bit damp and makes us run to put our cameras in the shed. So yeah, I'll get it soaked and then we'll get sowing. And I've got a new variety of fennel this year, so I shall tell you all about that when we get to the sowing stage, if the rain holds off. Well, this is novel, isn't it? You are now all in the cold frame. It's just, oh, this was not forecast. Never mind. I'm not made of soap, I'm not going to melt. Fennel. Right, so there are two main issues with fennel. One, it does not play nicely with all the other plants. So generally you need to sow fennel away from everything else. I'm going to get soaked. I can see some blue up there. Yeah. Generally speaking, you want to sow your fennel away from other things. It just, I don't know why, they just, oh sorry Rust, they just get out of my bed, they just don't play nicely. Rusty, go in the shed, go and have a cuddle up. So that's one thing, but the other thing is they are prone to bolting. In other words, they're growing really nicely and then they want to send up a flower stalk, and at that stage the actual bulb is not really very good to eat at all. So the main way around the bolting is to keep them nice and moist. They don't mind the warmth, they cannot stand being dry. So what I'm hoping by having them here is that once the flint corns are good enough, once these are up too, that little bit of shade will help to just keep this area from getting too hot and dry, the ground. But also, I was saying I've got a new variety this year. It's supposed to be good at being bolt resistant. It's called Mantovano. So, we'll see. I don't know how far these seeds are going to go. I'm going to try and sow quite thinly to save me save thinning out later on. And like I said, if and where I've got gaps, I will quite simply, I'll re-sow with some sort of salad leaf of some description, because once they're up and growing, they want about a good 5 or 6 inches between each bulb. It's like if you think about onions and their spacing, what you want to imagine is you want to imagine that bulb getting to a decent size. So you want to give it the space to get to that size. So in the past, I have sown much more thickly when I've had more seed to hand, but I'm actually sowing these about every 2 or 3 inches. And I'm guessing there'll be some gaps in germination, or there will be some that I thin, but with those thinnings, they'll be beautiful just chucked in a salad. I'm going to have to get up, and I've got a handful of seed. Now let's see if I can stretch and reach. So the other wonderful thing I discovered right at the end of last year, it was not ideal growing conditions for fennel last year because it was so dry, and mine were plumping up, but then they suddenly all bolted, and obviously I was a bit disappointed. I used some of them that weren't like too bolted, they were just beginning. But as I say, at the back end of last year I discovered that the roots are edible. Oh my goodness, what a revelation that was. No more waste. It's like literally the whole of the plant. So all the lovely frondy stuff, I like that in salads. The bulb, I love as risotto. But then to try the roots, oh, it was astonishing. So I made a really, really simple soup from them last autumn. That's, if you look in the recipe section, and if you didn't see it at the time, it's in the recipe section. And I hope that at the end of that video my face gives away what an amazingly pleasant surprise it was. It's absolutely wonderful. So this year, as I'm harvesting my bulbs, I'll harvest the whole lot, take the roots home too, and keep topping up my soup supply. Yay! Right, let me get the rest of these sown and covered. And then it'll be time to move into the other end of this bed. Oh, I should have said as well, just very quickly, that the fennel really like to be moist, as do the celery, which are going to go at the top end of this bed. So I like to keep those together because it's one thing of, if I'm really pushed for time and I've literally only got time to put 1 can of water on the garden, I can focus it on this bed because I know this bed is the greediest for water. Right, let's get sown some more. Oh, the sun is trying so hard to peek through. Just going to give these a really light covering. Yeah, that'll do it. And then I've just grabbed from one of the other beds that's now, I think it was the chickpea bed, they're all up. So I've grabbed from that bed the that bit of metal mesh that was being thrown out, and I grabbed because I thought it would be great to put on freshly seeded beds to deter cats, foxes, basically anyone who's thinking about having a scratch and a poop in my nice beds. That's what I mean about, we're getting to that time now to just sort of really take our time with things, savour these moments, because, you know, before we know it, oh my goodness, we'll be harvesting like mad. We'll be bottling tomatoes until midnight every night. So yeah, slow things down just now, quieten things down, just relish these beautiful calm days. Now I don't think this is going to stretch right across, but if I put it to there between 2 rows, that might suffice. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that'll help. You can get it on. Actually, let's just nudge that plank in a bit. Yeah. That's plenty of space between those two rows for those to come up. So yes, let's now just wait and hope that some fennel decide to make an appearance this year. I always think the birds know when the rain is finally over because they come out and start singing again. Well, let's hope it's over for the next half an hour or so. Okay, celery. Oh my goodness, this celery has been a pickle this year. So I'm back to growing my old favourite green Utah, which is a self-blanching variety. In other words, it doesn't have to be planted in trenches and then earthed up to get the white stalks. Quite the opposite. These would be lovely green stalks. Personally, having grown it for a few years now, I much prefer a skinny green stalk grown here organically that's packed full of flavour to one of those anemic white stringy things you get in the shops. So yes, green Utah, wonderful. Now I did work out a minute ago, oh yes, 5 by 7 gives me 35, 6 by 6 is 36, I've got 4. I might actually put them as 6 rows of 6, sorry, I'm thinking aloud, working it out aloud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could probably do, yeah, let's do it as 6 and we'll do it by 6. So, I plant them really quite closely, oh, barely a handspan, so barely 10 inches. 1, 2, 3, here we go again. 4, I'll have to come that side to do those, of course. 5, there's your friend over there. 6, yeah, I do them fairly closely. The first time I did that, it was sort of a bit of a happy accident, and they seem to really thrive. They get quite bushy. They work as their own sort of mulch in the end, because there's no ground showing because they're so packed into each other. So 2 things there. 1, suppressing the weeds, but more importantly for celery, sorry, it's keeping the ground moist. They are related to a bog plant, so they do need to be kept moist. Obviously, once they're in now, I will straight away be looking for something to mulch them with. I don't know what, actually, because we've had this rain and the grass is growing again, I'll probably just do a load of mowing. It looks a bit dry on the top at the moment, it's quite moist down below. Even so, I probably will give these a watering in today, try and sort out some grass clippings in the next 24 hours or so, and basically as soon as I can, whilst the ground is so moist, get a mulch on, and then they can grow through it and eventually, hopefully, cover it all. Now, I think, oh no, I'm not going to have any spare. They are going to be absolutely so tempting to the slugs and snails. I am definitely going to have to put a beer trap out down here. Hopefully a few of them will survive. The other thing to say about this self-blanching, or no need to blanch, oh, the sun, oh yay, it's just coming through the rows. I use it as a cut and come again veg. In other words, every time I need a few stalks of celery, I come down here and I take a stalk here, a stalk here, a stalk here, a stalk here, a stalk here. Keeps the plants going for, well, I was going to say forever, keeps them going for ages, unlike, say, one that you earth up and then you maybe take the whole plant out. They are skinnier than the things you would expect to see commercially, but they pack way more flavour. So if you were using 2 fat commercial stalks when you were making your soup, for example, 2 of my little skinny stalks would easily do the job. So, yay! Right. Oh, they do look so weird at the moment. I think let's just shut up and get them in and get them wet again. Goodness me, look, some of them are real tiddlers. That one's not quite so tiddly. So these were all sewn in, oh my goodness. Gosh, when was it? It was February? Oh no, I beg your pardon, it's on the label there. 10th of the 3rd. No, that is a lie. That's when they were pricked out. I beg your pardon. These were sewn, they were sewn in February. And oh my goodness, I was despairing of them ever coming to anything and getting to a stage where I could prick them out. So I rather bravely one day decided, do you know what, I'm going to have a go at pricking them out now, even though they barely have a true leaf showing. And that was what I was always taught, was that you don't prick things out until you've got a true leaf showing. To be honest, I think if I'd waited for true leaves, I'd still be waiting now. So yeah, they got pricked out on the 10th of March, and I'll be honest with you, it was beyond fiddly and time consuming. They were literally like little strands of cotton. I mean, really, that's the sort of the size. They were so delicate. So I've got 34 to plant here today. I think I actually potted on about something more like 50, but a ton of them, they just didn't make it. I wasn't surprised. I sort of was half expecting that none of them would make it. So that I've got anything to plant today, I'm very, very, very grateful for. But yeah, if you're going to have a go at celery, if you've never grown it before, you do need to start it early. And there's no doubt about it. It is in the sort of rearing stage, potting them on, all that. They are really fiddly, but persevere, because my goodness, if you've never eaten homegrown celery before, you're in for an absolute, just the most joyous surprise. Like I say, the commercial stuff just doesn't come anywhere near. So yeah, this little end, for some reason, actually some of the cardboard had flapped up and it had dried out a bit. But I think just down here in particular, I think I am going to need to sort of give them a soaking in. It's amazing as soon as I take the cardboard off, how quickly the beds dry again. I mean, obviously we've got sunshine, but I think the wind is also a factor in drying. So, happy days. Happy days. Oh, I just buried that one. Oh, I'm sorry, little buddy. Oh, yes, I do speak to my plants. Why not? Why not? Honestly, I've got a feeling that I'm going to come back tomorrow or the next day and half of this will be gone to the slugs, or just gone to the shock of being put into the big wide world before they're ready. Oh, that's big. See, look at the size of these stones I still get. Isn't that crazy? How has this bed been used so much and still has blooming great chunks of rock in it? Never mind. Alright, my lovelies, I'm going to get on with this. I will catch up with you when they're all in and done, and then that'll be a few more pots to take home to wash. Yay! Well, this is really pleasing for me. This bed number 4, is now done. At least it's done apart from weeding and tinkering until about the middle of August, when the onions will come out and brassicas will go in. So that's great. All the flint corn is in, the paprika peppers. This is now obviously seeded with the fennel. The teeny celery are all now in. Oh, I hope you survive the night, little ones. And I think one of my next jobs, oh, happy peppers, happy flint corn. The onions are all looking great. That's the reds. That's the whites. Other way round, sorry, that's the reds. And well, that's the whites. So I think my next job, I'm going to attend to the carrots and leeks. I hope you can get a sense through the mesh. I'm going to have the mesh off so I can show you properly. But I'm actually going to try and have a go at thinning the leeks by way of actually transplanting some. So, or you can get an idea from there, can't you? It's properly greened up. Yeah, so where there are gaps in the leeks, I'm going to transplant by way of thinning. But also where there are gaps in the carrots and they're not going to come now, I'll also put some of the leeks, because that's all leeks there. There's quite a lot. Yay! And well, I'm sure you can see by now that there's a ton of green in there. And this, the first sowing of carrots. Oh, they're looking great. Spring onions are fattening up. I'm going to start having some of those soon. Woohoo! Oh my goodness, it's so blustery today, isn't it? But yes, I'm chuffed. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits that basically now is bed number 4 is done. Done at last. Well, for the next 7 or 8 weeks. And then, like I said, when all the onions come out, we will start to put in to those gaps some of the gorgeous brassicas that you were all cuddling earlier on when it was raining. That's all the previously pricked out ones over that side. They all look great. They're all looking lovely and big and healthy. And then this is all the ones that were late to germinate. They're all ready to prick out as well. So I'll get on with that in the next few days. Ooh, here comes another gust. What a lovely day. It's been an odd day because of the weather, but oh, it's just great at the moment. Days like today make me feel so blessed to have this little parcel of land to grow my food in. It's wonderful. All the time those blusters were happening, it feels like they're sort of blowing all the cobwebs away, blowing all the indoor pent-up time away. Ah, just love it. And I'm really delighted, pardon me, I'm really delighted that at the end of today that bed number 4 is all done now. Like I say, until the onions come out. It doesn't look a huge amount of work, but it makes me so happy. And I have done loads of other little jobs around the garden today, especially starting to get on with the weeding. So I've managed over the course of today to weed beds 1 and 2 and half of bed number 3 when it was just too showery to film anything. And in doing that, it's great because it sort of revealed to me the chickpeas which are up, and there's a couple just emerging. So I think my next day down here is going to be all about beans, because it's about 4 weeks or so since I sowed all my pole beans. I keep calling them pole beans. You guys, you've turned me into an American. All my climbing beans. So yeah, sorry, 4 weeks since I sowed all my climbing beans, my bush beans, my chickpeas, the experimental bush beans, etc. So the next time you see me, big gust, my door nearly slammed, it will be to assess how all of that has done, to look to see whether I want to re-sow some things or simply plug the gaps with others, and most importantly, now that the broad beans are out, my priority the next time I'm here will be to plant my gorgeous Coco de Pampol. Yay, can't wait. And once the beans are all planted and the backups, I might as well go on holiday for a few weeks. Can you imagine it? Oh my goodness, weeds everywhere, the ground will dry to a bone. And the other thing I need to remember to do is, I can't remember whether I was mentioning it in this video or the last one, I've lost a squash for definite, but also I've noticed I've lost a cucumber. So I'm not going to be in a hurry to get my spares out because I think we've got a few more wet days coming, so I'm going to leave the sugs a couple more days to do whatever they want to do, well hopefully not, and then put my replacements in. Anyway, I'm waffling now because I'm just feeling yeah, just feeling the joy of the garden, and there's a massive part of me in here, in my heart. I could literally stay another, oh well, I could probably stay for 48 hours and carry on. Unfortunately, my bones are not of the same opinion. They want to go home, as does my belly. I need to put some food in it. So yeah, I'm going to call it a day for now. Can't wait, I cannot wait to get here again. Tomorrow probably. I get emotional about it. It's hard to explain. I'm sure you guys get it as well, but it just, being here is just so, it just sits so well with me. It makes me so happy and so fulfilled. And the minute I leave, the vast majority of the time, occasionally I'm glad to go home if I'm really wet and cold, but you know, most of the time, as soon as I close that gate behind me, I'll just want to open it straight back up and come straight back in here. And you know, I know there'll be points this evening where I'll be reflecting on what I've done today, and I'll just be so excited. What did I say earlier about the sky? It's like literally every time I turn the camera on. Anyway, yeah, I'll just be so excited to come back here tomorrow and see what's happened overnight. Oh, I know nothing will have done, but oh, I know you all get it. I know you get it too. So, from a very, very happy me in a not too wet London, thank goodness, it is cheerio. I will see you all again really soon, I hope. But in the meantime, have that joy in your gardens. See you soon. Bye for now.